start with who we are, DigiMind. So it's going to be just one slide. Very short, I don't want to spend too much time on it because I want to focus on some key metrics that across the last years we've put in place within our clients. And I'm more particularly going to focus on the PR content, performance and metrics. Just as a warm-up, I will also start with the reputation and what we mean by reputation. So let's get started, because I know we are a bit late, and I don't want you to starve before lunchtime. DigiMind, we've been around for 18 years, so it's quite a long time, considering that we are a software company doing online listening only. So 18 years ago, we started doing online listening, online monitoring activities, and that was quite new at that time. So we have offices around the world now, and we've seen the social media coming up, becoming more and more important, and we've been basically helping companies collect online data for 18 years and helping them make better decisions for their strategies, for their marketing, for their sales. So we really support the whole organization, and we've been doing that for 18 years. Let's have a look at the reputation of a brand. This is a good starting point that I like to use, because the reputation is something very, very important for communication professionals like us. It's going to be the biggest challenge within the next few years, and all the studies you can find online will tell you the same. So the reputation has been changing quite a lot over the last few years, and it's not what we think it is anymore, because people can interact on the different social media channels. The way they will engage with the brands will also change. So when we look at the reputation, there we go. When we look at the reputation of a consumer and what's the consumer journey, I'd like to take this example. This is Matthew, my nephew, and we wanted to buy a new bike for Matthew for his birthday. So what we did is, as everybody would do here, I guess, you start on Google. So you Google the different bikes you want. So where can I buy a new bike? Good bikes online, and the whole journey is, as you can see, we start with Google, and then we will maybe jump to Facebook. If we have some friends, you can ask some questions on Facebook. And then the next step will be maybe to look at review websites, because this is the place where people will put their reviews on the bikes. And then at some point you may want to go to the shop, ask the salesman. You may have some questions around the payment. Can I pay later? Can I split the payment, and so on? Then maybe the delivery will fail, you will be tweeting the brand, and so on and so on. My point here is that the whole reputation of a brand is everything. It's not just on one media, obviously. It's everything, and it takes into account a lot of different services and departments within the organization. So, when we start talking about reputation, I like to split it into three main categories, three main dimensions. The first one is the one that we all know, what people say on the mainstream media, which is really covering the PR aspect, what you will find in the newspapers, in the different journals online. It's very important. And then you also have the social media. I will explain these two things later. But you also have to take into account Google and what you can get from Google, and what you will see in your own media channels. Of course, everything will be looking at, so we'll be looking at these three dimensions with the PR aspect. So, some examples of metrics that you may want to find on a traditional project. Share of voice. This is a very traditional KPI that I'm sure you have to produce regularly. Yes, but which one? Is it just the brand KPI, the brand share of voice, covering the top level brand? Or is it the product, looking at how many articles are talking about the product? Or is it more something around maybe the key people within the organization? What we usually say is that the reputation is covering both three: brand, product, and people. So what I usually suggest is to look at the share of voice, the aggregated share of voice covering everything. The second point here is that please use the same method for yourself and for the competitors. I've seen quite a few projects where my client was using a lot of different products and different names and hashtags to really cover his scope very well, but for the competitors, he was just putting a few keywords. So you need to compare apples with apples, and that's really important because otherwise the share of voice will not reflect the reality. Please don't neglect the trends and variations because it helps people to read the information. The share of voice itself is good, but if you indicate that it's trending, it's even better. Last point is to replicate the business hierarchy, product, maybe some product families, and the brand level, because it will make sense within the organization. So that's for the first one. Let's move to the second set of metrics, market coverage. Again, I'm sure you all are familiar with these metrics. Country or even region, because it's the way maybe your organization is organized. By newspaper, how many publications, how many articles per newspaper? Of course, this is something that you may want to look at. You see that you will also visualize the audience. I will come back to that point later, because it's the number of impressions, the impression of those articles. And then you can also look at the breakdown by language. English, top of the line, and then maybe other languages in Spanish, German, Thai, and so on. The main takeaway over here is depending on how you structure the metrics, you will always have to indicate what's behind. You can also come up with some newspapers breakdown. It's usually the case when you look at the PR content. Looking at the international newspapers or the local ones, or maybe a different groups of newspapers specialized. In any case, you will have to formalize the scope. So this is something that I do quite regularly with my clients and the different projects. It's really looking through the whole scope and making sure that we cover everything, including the translations. So when you start looking at a regional project or a global project, you will have to get the translation from the local offices, because maybe the brand will have a local name, maybe the brand and the products will have the local translations, and same for the competitors. So maybe there will be just a local competitor in one country. You will have to take that into account. Okay, let's move to another share of voice. So I like the share of voice, sorry. The brand impression. So here, we are looking at a potential audience. So instead of just looking at the volume of information, you will be looking at the impact of that information or the impression. Different ways to talk about it. Same idea, so you will see the products, the different people. Eventually, what I usually suggest is to see the summary of everything, the volume, the trend, and the audience. Because that's a very simple way for people to understand what's happening and the impact. So this is a very, very standard chart that we usually suggest during a project. Just one word about the advertising value equivalent. I'm sure you all know the meaning of this AVE. I'm always a bit careful when it comes to that AVE indicator or KPI, because it's quite hard to really put a proper cost on one article. So if you do it, you may want to really qualify the information depending on, is it an international newspaper, local one, is it reliable or not, is it a dedicated article or just one mention. The AV is something quite complex, and I usually recommend to look at the article one by one almost, and really qualify the articles. If you really want to go into the AVE, I suggest to stay on the impression. What's the impression of those articles? And something I usually recommend as well is this chart. Oh, sorry, this one. This chart where we can really differentiate if the article is just a mention of the brand, or is the brand appearing in the headline? And you need to qualify that, you need to quantify that, because it really gives a different indication eventually altogether. So we can we can put in place some rules to really target if the title will contain the brand or not. Over here you can see we have some rules to really target the title only. And it helps again to put some metrics, some KPIs on the data you collect. Same idea for is it a dedicated article or is it a newspaper article where you also see the other brands. In this example, Toyota, which is the timeline over here, we see 389 mentions. But Nissan, Renault, Peugeot, Volvo, they also appear alongside those articles. So it's maybe not dedicated articles anymore, it's just a general discussion around maybe the automotive sector. The last part for this key metric number 4 is being able to also change the way you present the information, change the way you see the text, highlight some parts. Some of my clients, they like to put together a PR newsletter internally to communicate. And they will highlight some of the parts they think is relevant. So some parts are relevant, they will highlight these parts, but they will keep the full text so that it's easier for people to replace and understand the context of the article. Same for the audience, so the impression. You may want to adapt it depending on the quality of the newspaper, is it a good coverage, and so on and so on. So this is pretty much the summary of what I explained, and you can also adapt the sentiment if you need to really go into a local context and maybe some slang. Okay, just to open up a little bit this part, I also suggest this, research topics. Instead of just looking at the traditional share of voice, when we collect the information related to the brand and the products, I usually try to open up a little bit with research topics, like this one. Instead of just collecting information around Toyota and the different automobile car manufacturers, I will ask to look into autonomous driving, which is a very broad topic, it's a research topic, and then the question will be, what is my share of voice among all of the discussions around this particular topic? This is to cover questions like, what's my share of voice across the whole market? It's a very complicated question, because how do you define the whole market, first of all? So instead of that, I prefer to go for one question at a time. Okay, autonomous driving, let's collect the information, and we will quantify what's your share of voice in that specific question. So I usually prefer to go for one question at a time, instead of whole market, because it's not very clear. PR content on Google, you may wonder why you want to look at Google. That the SEO thing is part of the Google analysis. As this graph explains, the older you get and the more you will use Google. So depending on your target audience, you may really want to look into that or not. Of course, you will have to look into the social media as well. A couple of interesting things for Google. So you will have all the visitors and bounce rate and conversion rate coming from Google Analytics or different tools like Adobe. I'm not going to talk about that because it's a dedicated part. I'm just going to talk about the suggestion terms and the Google search results, which is also linked to the SEO. And just for the example, I will use this one. So if you go on Google and you are in a search on Air France, even before the search, you will have some suggestion words. Air France Singapore, Air France Review, Air France Strike. It doesn't really look good, unfortunately. So even before you hit the social media or you hit the search bar, you will already see something coming from the brand. And guess what? I click on Strike, and analyzing the trend of Air France Strike will help you to understand the reputation at that level. The very entry point could just be the Google search. The idea here is to make sure that the more content you push, the more PR you promote online, the more you can bury that negative suggestion term. And you can analyze the first few suggestion terms to make sure it won't show up anymore. Same for the top results. When you run a search on Air France in Google UK English, the first page you see is coming from airlineequality.com. The first review you see on that page with almost no service. So it's a review website that is giving you indications on people having used Air France and not really happy about it. So again, how can you make sure that this is not going to show up for the future consumers? One slide for the own channel, because it's pretty straightforward. There are tools to help you analyze the performance of your content on your own channels, which is one thing. I just want to ask a question: is your PR publications, do they have an impact on the size of your community? They will certainly engage on your own channels. You will see the number of likes, number of shares, but what about the size of your community? So try to correlate some of the data you get from the external referral traffic using Facebook Analytics with all the different publications you've pushed online. It might be interesting at some point to realize that some publications had an impact on your own channels and the size of your community. Let's look at the social media now. So how do we look at social media from a PR perspective? So the example I like to take is almost the storytelling. I'm starting with just a ChannelNewsAsia.com article about Toyota, and I'm just getting some metrics from that page. And in actual fact, people using the features available on that page, it doesn't really work so well, so you won't get a lot of metrics like that. So when you really look at the Twitter shares and Facebook shares and so on, you hardly get anything. But when you start searching for the title, and then you realize that, in actual fact, the same article has been published on Reuters, on Channel News Asia, which is the one I saw, News Singapore Yahoo, Japan Today. All of these articles are the same. So how do you take into account the impact of one article? In actual fact, we're looking at multiple articles, and we're also looking at people putting that content on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Reddit, Tumblr, and blogs. So the overall impact of that article is not just on one website, of course not. It is 130 mentions or pieces of information that we have collected. All of them are talking about this particular text and article. Looking at the timeline, it's a very traditional wave. It goes up very quickly when it's released, and then it dies down fairly quickly as well. If you look at the same volume of data, but looking at the impression, you may have a surprise, because eventually, a few days later, you see that there's a big spike coming from a Facebook page having 4 million likes. So it also helps to reanalyze what's the impact of that publication across a period of time that we have defined. And we can also analyze what we call the 5 Ws, so making sure that there's nothing negative when people are using this article. Are they also commenting it? Are they putting some negative stuff around the article? The only, mainly neutral, which is good. The only information that may be a little bit not so good is just one tweet. Fair enough, but it's not yet considered a negative information. Again, you can adapt the way the platform will understand that, because it may be negative for you if you decide to change the sentiment. And then you try to understand what are the main points, main discussion points, and also the top hashtags people are associating with this particular article. So the whole story, the whole 5 Ws, it's all about this particular article and the way it's spread across the different social media platforms. Again, we just talked about the influencers and how can you detect some influencers and engage with these people. The influencers network, or just a flat list of influencers, should help you with that. I see I've just got 6 minutes left, so conclusions, the main takeaways, you can slice and dice the reputation into different channels, mainstream, Google, own channel, and social media, and this should cover most of the situations. The key takeaway for the mainstream media is to make sure that you've got the right scope, you're really covering all the different angles, and also taking into account local translations, local competitors. If you have the manpower, you can also adapt the impression and qualify the data manually, or you can also do it automatically by putting some rules, some intelligent rules in the system. And don't neglect the Google results and the evolution of your community based on the articles that you've seen online. And for the social media part, we usually recommend to look at the 5 Ws, because that's the easiest way to analyze the main questions around the reputation of your brand. My last slide is this one. So where is this going? We've seen over the last few years a lot of activities going towards the same direction. The digital comment center is something that is getting more and more real. And people try to aggregate a lot of different feeds coming from the PR, the competitive intelligence, market intelligence, social media monitoring, but also internal feeds, your sales figures, the budget for the paid. If you put everything into the same view, it will help you analyze the data in an easy way. And the machine learning and artificial intelligence is also something that is trending because of the big volume of data. And there's a lot of big companies like Salesforce, Google, putting a lot of effort in artificial intelligence to help analyze the data. And I think that's it.
Okay, can we have a round of applause for Olivier? Thank you so much. Do you have any questions from the floor? If not, we've got one that just came in through the SMS system. There are two parts to it. The first part says, for a B2B business, is social media an awareness tool or a lead generation tool? Second part says, would you include syndicated articles, either republished or repeated press releases in measurements?
Okay, so two questions. The first one, yeah, for the B2B, you will also take into account how much business you can generate from the social media data you collect. It's usually maybe not directly to the companies, but the end product. I can give you the example of one of our projects, B2B, and we are not necessarily monitoring the companies that we're doing business with, but the product of these companies, and by helping them understand their market, then it helps to generate more business. So the B2B aspect is certainly a little bit different from the B2C, and we usually target the end product because that's what's the visible part. I think that was the second question was
the second part is, would you include syndicated articles in measurements?
Yes, we also take that into account, but you may want to adapt it. When I was explaining that you could change the impression of an article, you may want to reduce it if it's a syndicated or not, and take into account maybe other parameters. If it's the first one that's been published, like my example, the first one was coming from Reuters, and then Channel News Asia took the same article, and then Japan Today, and so on. So you may want to decrease the impression over time. So this is also something that we do sometimes.
Okay, one more question that just came in. Thanks, Olivier. What are the trends or opportunities you see in social listening by B2B brands? It's actually, it makes me think about my last point, the artificial intelligence, and the way that, because of the big volume of data, we also need at some point to rely on automatic detection, and for B2B, we usually set up some specific social selling points, looking at people asking questions online, and trying to detect that so that we can, after, you have to put in place a process internally to make sure that the right answer, the right engagement level will be pushed. But it depends on the industry, depending on your activity. You may want to look at certain questions or not, and that should trigger an alert to the right people internally. Okay, do we have any other questions? If not, thank you very much, Olivier. Can we just have a round of applause?